This is Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior, and you're fanging and banging with Monty and the Pharaoh.
Actually, the best thing, if you're injured, is to grow up and be a man. Come on.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, only seen here at Village Connection Radio, live from Rockstar Studios, a special Saturday edition. At the helm is none other than the owner of this illustrious station, Mr. Jim Savali.
Well, good morning.
Or good afternoon. To the right is the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Happy Saturday.
And most importantly is WWE Hall of Famer, pro wrestling superstar, iconic human being, Mr. Tony Atlas. Tony Atlas.
I always wanted to meet him.
Who's
Tony
that?
Atlas?
Tony Atlas?
He's awesome. You'd love him.
I think he's a prick.
Really?
Oh, my
No way,
God.
man. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's good for nothing.
Good for nothing. Oy.
Well, we're going
Oy.
to find out in this interview, all right?
Yeah, let's find out.
So what we usually do is Farrow's going to do his little shtick, and then we're gonna rock and roll with you, sir.
Sound good to me.
Sounds
all right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have at it our esteemed introduction for our esteemed guest. Born April 23rd, 1954, Anthony White, better known by his ring name Tony Atlas, American bodybuilder, powerlifter, professional wrestler, who's held multiple titles and championships in each of these sports. He's also known by his bodybuilding title, Mr. USA, a distinction he has earned 3 times. Also known as the Black Superman, as well as an alter ego named Saba Simba. F you, Vince. Anyway, he returned as an F you, Vince. He returned as an on-screen manager for WWE, which I personally loved, appearing on its now-defunct ECW brand. And, of course, he re-signed with WWE with a Legends deal in mid-2012. Residence. Where are you living at,
I
sir?
live in Auburn, Maine.
Okay, all right.
Not far from here.
No.
All right. Multiple names, as I've mentioned
that
previously.
You shouldn't have really told the Pharaoh that, man, because you might just be visiting your home.
I'm a bit of
It's
a
always too close.
bit
The
of a
only thing
mark.
about Maine, once you go there, you don't want to leave.
Really?
I like professional wrestlers' feet.
Nice, bro.
You're
too.
digging the
That's
cold
another-
weather?
Oh, sorry.
It's no worse than New York or Chicago.
Well, that's why I'm not a
Okay.
big fan of New
Same
York
thing.
anymore.
But no, it's just the freedom. You got more freedom there. No traffic.
Nice.
You can buy whatever you want to buy.
Fresh air.
Fresh air.
What
You got
does Tony
Central
Atlas nowadays do for recreation?
Tony Atlas is a direct support. I work with mentally challenged adults. I'm also a personal trainer at the Auburn YMCA. I got a youth program there, and I work with young troubled kids. I do a lot of motivation speaking to kids because there's a lot of things that I was taught when I was young that we don't put into kids. Whatever, my mother said, you reap what you sow. If you plant apples, you're not gonna get oranges. In my generation, there was 2 things that was planted in me. It was planted, just like you plant a seed in the ground. One was pledge allegiance to the flag every morning in school. I made a pledge to serve and honor my country. Also, it was a law of prayer. I pray every day in school to pray to good Lord for having a great country, being healthy and strong, and living a good life. So these were the things that was implanted in us. Now people say we are losing our moral values. You ain't gonna find nothing about morals in the Constitution. You ain't gonna find nothing about morals in the Bill of Rights. There is no man-made law on the books that deal with what you call morals. Morals come from the Bible. So when you don't have a spiritual belief in things, then everything about you gonna become materialistic. So you can't recognize that you hurting somebody else. You can't recognize that you disappointing somebody else because you're not connected no longer to nature and to the spiritual world. You are connected to the world of technology and machinery. And that's the reason I go around and try to teach the kids about moral value. Not saying everybody should become religion and read the Bible and everything, but our morals of thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not kill.
Right.
These are all part of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery is not illegal by man. It's illegal by God.
Right.
And I'm not a Christian. I'm a wannabe Christian.
Understood.
You know, because unless you're able to walk the walk and talk the talk,
Which is extremely difficult.
I'm working towards that part of my life. I hadn't reached it yet, and that's why I believe
you and me both.
Into politics is impossible, absolutely impossible, to be president of the United States and to be a Christian too. Reason why? In the Bible, it says, "Love thy enemies."
Right.
Now, how you going to do that?
Very difficult.
You can't do that and be president. The Bible says, turn the other cheek. So you can't do that and be president.
How does Tony Atlas interpret "Thou shalt not be a doormat," which is in the Bible?
Well, self-preservation comes first. You won't be as long as you get something out of it. You know, if you just lay there and let people walk on you and not get nothing out of it, then you are a doormat. You let people use and abuse you. But God says self-preservation comes first. Right. So you should always look after yourself first. Like if you're in the ocean and the sharks all the way around and your friend is next to you, you got to most people will help their friend out and leave themselves in danger. God said you get out of danger first, then help your friend. You raise up yourself first, then raise somebody else up. See, don't raise others without raising yourself.
Right.
Don't look
the speck in the eye.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, as we continue, now that we've gone way, as we continue, there it is.
I gotta know, where'd you come up with that one?
Was this a takeoff of Arnold from Happy Days?
No. See, they put Roanoke, but I'm originally born
Virginia,
in Clifton Forge.
Okay.
That's where I was born at, and I was raised up in Lowmore, Virginia. I didn't go to Roanoke until I was a teenager. But when I started wrestling, they said, "Well, tell them you're from Roanoke because nobody where they did wrestling shows there. What? They never Lowmore had one store." Right. It was a commissary. It was owned by the North and Western Railroad. It was a man in town.
Right.
You know, like not a coal man. It was what they just the oil. Just dig the oil out. Yeah. Man like Lowmore. You read the history of Mona. Yeah. It was a coal, not coal manner, but manners. You know,
and one wino in the town. You know.
Well, not everybody was.
Two. Everybody. All seven of them.
Because
all seven of them.
Yeah, because what they did, it was a commissary. You go there. It was a mailbox, the police station, grocery store, clothing store, and that's where all of you ever hear the song 16 Tons and what do you get?
Yeah, I have.
That's what,
excellent song.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a company store. And we went there for everything. We went there for shoes, for clothes.
You sold
used to wear the blue
store.
jeans. Now y'all call them jeans now. We call them blue jeans because they were not pre-washed.
Right.
So when you put them on, your legs were blue when you took them off.
That's right. That's
where they got the name blue jeans from.
Look at this.
Yeah. So I was raised very, very country-like. You know, my favorite country singer is David Allan Coe.
Okay.
You know, and I was raised up on, Willie, not Willie so much. I like Willie, but he was not, one of the guys I listed. Johnny Cash, or who don't like Johnny Cash?
Man.
I mean, that's just downright un-American.
I would tend to think so.
George Jones.
Okay.
Merle Haggard was fantastic.
Okay.
So I was raised on country and gospel music, and I was raised to work on a farm, and I was raised to that fist fighting was one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid. And the reason was because I made money out of it. My dad took me to Scrapper Corner, and I was about 11 years old, but I was like 5'10".
I was about to say, how
You're
tall were
already
you
bigger
at?
than
5'10",
What?
but I only weighed like 130 pounds.
Oh.
You know, yeah, I was like a beanpole. And so my dad taught me how to hit a person and where to hit them at. You catch them on the chin right here. And he said if he ever hits someone there and they don't go down, he's gonna walk around behind them and see what's holding them up. So he used to wait till a guy get real drunk when they had a railroad. They'd be shooting dice on the corner, and so he would come and get me and say, Tony, I want you to whoop him. If you don't whoop him, I'm gonna give you one when you get home.
Really?
So he could pick the drunkest guy he could find and say, I bet you can't whoop that skinny kid over there. And I'm like 11.
This is bizarre.
So like, how much money was on this?
I don't know. My dad didn't tell us that.
He didn't share it?
No. Kidding me.
No percentage, huh?
No percentage.
He
You
was,
got something to
he
eat.
was
He got some
Wait a
food.
second. He was preparing him to work for Vince years later.
No, that's how he was a hustler.
Okay.
That's how he
There you
hustled.
go.
That's right. How he hustled up his money, you know.
Right.
And nobody would fight him no more. 'Cause couldn't nobody beat him.
Yeah.
So he started passing on to his kid. He was, he did that back alley fighting and.
Well,
people
real
back
quick, how
on
big
it.
was Dad?
My
Wait.
father was from about 5'8", maybe 5'9",
Wait.
about 185.
Really?
Built like a.
Like a rock.
But he knew how to hit you, and you know he knew how to. Now my grandfather was from Scotland.
Really now?
Yeah, from
Okay.
Scotland.
Is he a big guy too, or?
No, yeah, he was big. Yeah, he
So,
was a big
did you
guy.
ever lose any of these street fights?
No, never lost a fist fight in my day in my life.
You must have been scared shitless if
No,
you thought you were going
I
to lose.
had a high tolerance to pain from being a kid. We used to get slapped around and beat all the time as a kid. You know, most kids were tough back in them days. Because, you know, and there were school fights every day. See, I was raised up in the 50s and the 60s, what people forget.
How
So-
big was your school? Did everybody know each other,
well,
or
in
was
the-
it, you know?
Well, yeah, at first, because school was segregated. And then in the 70s, they are desegregated the school. So I graduated, I went to a black school, but I graduated from a white school because they desegregated the country in, I think, 1971. And then they told me that I was a human being.
There you go.
At least you had the patience to wait, right?
So, share some
Look
stories
at it
back
that
then.
way.
What was
They
it,
got
what
around
was it
to it
like when
eventually.
you went to
Wait.
a white school?
Much better.
Was it better?
Yeah.
Why?
It was
Tell
much
us, yeah,
better.
tell us
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Well,
What were
in the
what were
neighborhood, you had to
differences?
get some type of recognition. And there was no organization during that time or no company or no development. I was telling them, the guys on the way down here, if you go to a white neighborhood, you see it's developed. There's jobs, there's opportunity. You know, they develop. You don't have to leave the neighborhood to make a living. But if you live in a black neighborhood, you got to leave the neighborhood
Get
to
out,
make a
right.
living because there's nothing going into the neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Like, for example, not to criticize nobody, not to talk about nothing. I see all these people, this guy was telling about some girl that speaking the truth about blacks, and I said, she's full of horse pucky, whatever her name is. You asked to talk about her.
All right.
Yeah, horse pucky. Because people say, why do black people burn their own neighborhood? Easy. No repercussions. As long as they keep it in the hood. It's been like that since I was a kid.
Really? Okay.
As long as it stays in the hood. You had 1,600 murders in Chicago.
Yeah.
Not one arrest. One little gay kid go out there and make the false accusation about racism, and they all over the frickin' TV. But then when someone get blown away or some
Nobody
grandma
says
sitting
a
there
word.
watching TV,
Right.
somebody drive by and shoot them.
Nobody says a
Nobody
word.
say that they're
Yeah.
what. And what the football players are kneeling for, not to disrespect the flag. But I'm very sure they're not trying to disrespect the flag. It will turn into that to ignore the truth. The truth is they want policemen to police the neighborhood and protect the neighborhood. That's why blacks used to fight so much. If you black in most areas when I grew up, I don't know how it is now because I live in Maine. If you couldn't protect yourself, you couldn't depend on the police. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how come stuff happen in the neighborhood, because they know they could get away with it in that neighborhood.
Tony, as a society today, have we changed so much? What's the difference between when the black athletes stood on the podium in the Olympics in the 60s
I don't think-
and raised their hands in the air compared to Colin Kaepernick kneeling now? Why is it so, the outrage so much different? Because I don't recall if there was, I've never read it. Was there outrage when they raised their I don't think so. So what made this Colin Kaepernick thing, like, catch fire in your opinion?
I came as It was like what Jesus said. He came and you accept me not. When we lost our moral values. It's not a black-white thing anymore. It's about we are losing our morals.
Do you feel we've turned our back on religion? Like society in general? Because I wonder.
I hate religion. Forget religion.
Organized, no thanks.
Religion is something. Religion is something to separate Christians. If the religion is another word for separatism. If you're not Muslim, you wrong. If you're not Christian, you wrong. If you're not Muslim, you wrong. If you're not Buddhist, you wrong.
How do you think people can put all of that to the side, though?
Because it's the guy that go in between. To Christian, Jesus is the way and the light. To Christian. To Muslim, it's Muhammad. To Jewish people, it's neither one. The Messiah hadn't got here. To the Buddhists, it's someone else. But they all tell the same thing. We believe in one God. Religion was created to block the path. See, we should not. God said, "Thou shalt not have no other law before thee." So anything you put above God is your God.
Right. I understand.
So if you put your religion above God, you're not serving God. You're serving your religion. I serve God. I don't have a religion.
Understood.
I believe my way to God is through Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. That's my way.
Right.
But I'm not going to criticize your way.
Understood.
Are you insulted by atheists?
What is that?
People who don't believe in God.
Well, no, because judge not yet ye be judged. That's not my job to judge anybody.
Right.
I can't judge you. He who is without sin cast the first stone.
Right.
I have sinned more than anything walking the face of the earth.
No. Last week we went over this, my friend. I got you beat.
Yeah, he's
I got you beat.
He was
you
7 for
think
7
you-
on the 7 deadly sins.
Boy,
It wasn't even close.
I'm
I'm ruined now. I can't even look at him anymore.
Brother.
Well, I kind of can.
He may beat me on the sins you know, but I created some new ones.
Did you really?
I got some.
You got an original sin.
I got some. That ain't
Nice.
even on the freaking book no more. So Tony Atlas is the last person on earth that can criticize anybody. I put in my book, Too Much Too Soon, and you get it. You go to crowbotpress.com, and in my book I say my success in life, I owe to thousands of people. My success. My failure in life, I owe only to myself, for I am the captain of my own ship.
Vessel. Yeah, there you go.
I'm the captain of my own ship. I make my own decisions. And I can't blame somebody else for a bad decision I made. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nobody, Tony Atlas, they say, who was your worst enemy? Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
Has Tony Atlas
Gotcha.
always owned up to himself
Nope.
like this?
Nope. I played the blame game. My mother brought us up. In the black neighborhood, a black guy could be walking down the street, trip. It's the white man's fault.
What I do?
See what I'm
you
trying to
do?
say?
Yeah, okay.
And I saw it when I was a kid. Now I see it in our political field. I mean, when the Republicans in charge, everything that goes wrong is the Democrat fault. When the Democrats in charge, everything goes wrong, it's the Republican fault. Nobody takes self-responsibility, and we're doing this on television in front of our kids. So when a child sat and watched the Republican Party, who for the last 2 years had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, blaming the Democrat for what is wrong, that's like Andre the Giant sat here. Little Louis the midget sat here. The desk broke down. You blame the midget and not the giant. Right will become wrong, wrong will become right. That's what is happening to us. Nobody take responsibility. It's always someone else. But when it go good, like my ex-wife, when my daughter do something bad, she got
that's
that
your
from
kid.
you.
Yeah, that's your kid.
Yeah, she got that
then.
from
Yeah,
you.
of course.
Yeah, that's your kid.
Right,
But when
right.
she do something
Oh,
good,
that's hers, then it's
yeah,
hers.
oh yeah, this is my baby.
Hey, Jim, I thought that was only me. Like, I feel
No.
better. Tony, you're making me feel better about myself already.
But you see, the Bible also said taking responsibility is another word for that. It's called you confess. You can't be forgiven until you confess. You can't move on
Right.
until you confess.
Right.
See?
Yeah.
And that, I'm, like I said, I'm not a Christian. I'm working on it. I was raised in a Christian home by my mother and my grandmother. They was Christian. They was Christian.
I hope I word this right. Does Tony Atlas believe in reverse racism?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
No such thing.
Okay.
Bullshit.
Right.
That's bullcrap.
Okay.
That's people. That's a good way of it knowing what's going on. Fix what's going on. Don't shy away from it. It's a way to whitewash and say, I got nothing to do. I'll tell you what it is. Reverse racism to be like that guy. What that guy that used to do all that thing? Did I do that?
Who's that?
Who was that?
Herbal?
Urkel. Reverse racism is another Urkel. Do something and then act dumb.
Yeah, right.
Did I do that? But you see, here's why people is getting mad. Not to get into politics, because this supposed to be about wrestling.
No, you could listen. This is not just about wrestling. We go which way.
President Trump, I respect him. I respect him as my president.
Okay.
I may not agree with everything he said. I didn't agree with everything about Obama or Clinton or Bush. I respect him. But he's being dishonest in one way to the people. He said, make America great again. That is not an honest statement. The statement he should make is, how can we make America great again? What made America great was the people. Mm-hmm. America was not more greater and more grander than England, but we whooped their butt. We didn't have the military might of Nazi Germany, but we whooped their butt. Mm-hmm. We didn't have we was a little ragtag army here. Mm-hmm. But what America had was a belief and a dream of what they want to live in their life, what type of life they wanted to live for this country. We built this country up from nothing. There was not one freaking building when we first came here. I say we because I'm in America. I don't care if you came from Africa, Ireland, England, you here, you born here, your ancestors born here, you're in America. Mm-hmm. There's no black and white America. No such thing as black and white America. It's just America. Because when the crap hit the fan, we all came together. What we did wrong, when we gave our kids choices.
Yeah.
Choices. A kid don't have choices. My mother said, while you're under my roof, my rule.
That's right.
My rule. So we don't have. There's no more parenting in America.
Right.
When I was under the age of 12, I had no say so in nothing. My mother. Y'all probably go to a restaurant and see people turn to a grown up, 30 years old. I want to vomit every time I see this. Turn to a 3-year-old kid. What you want to eat?
Look at
What you want to eat?
That's great.
Are you freaking ribbing me?
Yeah.
You've been on this earth for 30 freaking years.
Multiple choice, huh? Yeah.
She don't even know how to pee by herself. And you want her to know the difference between a lobster casserole and clam casino? Are you freaking ribbing me? She don't even know how to spell her name yet. She can't even read the menu. You give them choices. A mother job, a parent job is to teach. Teach your kid, like how my mother did it. I'm trying to make this quick because I got this gift for gab. Y'all, I'll drive you nuts. I wanted to get a bicycle in town. We go to the Goodwill. Then they had the big old wheel bike and everything. And the guy wanted only $5 for it. Had the flat tires, but you just pump them up. My mother said, okay, boy, I'll tell you what I do. If you come up with half the money, I give you the other half. I went out, raked leaves, did everything I could to come up with that $2.50. I gave it to my mom. My mom walked to the store. She gave the man the ticket. The man gave me the bike. I didn't see no money exchange hand. My mother bought that bike. But she wasn't going to give it to me. She was going to tell me to earn it.
Yeah,
Her thing was, that's life. Don't sit around and wait for the government. A prime example, if my mother had raised people in Louisiana, New Orleans, when the flood hit, there would have been no crisis. I saw grown men on the roof not knowing how to protect their family. Because they were so programmed for the government or someone else to take care of them. That when it came to taking care of themselves, it was like
Too domesticated.
Exactly. Exactly. Hit the nail. Hit nail. They didn't know how to think. I saw a guy, and I'm sure all y'all seen him, running down the street, water up to his waist, with a big 32-inch television.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Well,
Where the hell are you going to plug that in at?
well, you know.
Where are you going to watch TV at?
needs that
There's
TV.
no electricity, bodies floating around. And all he could think about, hell, I would have broke into one of these sports stores that stole a friggin' canoe.
Canoe, yep.
Yeah.
Are you remember? But
Maybe a fishing pole?
no, not a fishing pole. Not with dead bodies floating around. You really going to
I don't know about you
fish
guys.
out grandma floating in the water there?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm about to say Tony Atlas for president.
Yeah, why not?
Yes, I'm on.
But that's our problem.
I'm
If Trump really want to make America great again, make our teenagers more responsible. Get up. I train people. Mother paying $50 out for me to train this kid. He do a set on the bench, get up and start texting someone. So what the hell?
Oh, boy.
I said, brother, you only gonna be here for an hour. You got all day to play on that damn phone. They don't work. It's a shortage of jobs. Everywhere you go, help wanted. I saw a sign that they said them damn Mexicans coming here taking all the jobs we don't want to do. You can pay a kid $15 an hour, you can't get them to work. To make this country great again, we had to start raising men. And until we raise men, see, America was built because we raised women. And we raise men. My mother said, as a child, you do childish thing. As an adult, you do adult thing. You know what I'm saying? Our kids don't never grow up. We pamper them so much. I go to the military and talk to some of the at Kosovo once a year, and they tell me they want them to give them sensitivity to courses. To the soldier. If they saw the enemy, they had to make a freaking phone call before they shoot them. So if your cell phone, your cell phone is dead, you can't even shoot nobody. So you got to make a phone call first.
Are we Facebook friends with our sergeant? We'd have to check. Send an instant message or something?
They don't even train them. They had to lower the standards of the military. The standards they had for Vietnam, nobody be passing now. They call that special forces now.
You know what? I was in the military from 86 to 90.
Okay.
Thank you
for your service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
In between, like right at the end, I started to see the change in the military.
Soften
Drill
it,
sergeants weren't called drill sergeants anymore.
No.
They had to be known as sergeant.
Yeah.
The stuff I saw, right? They treated you like men.
By the way,
by the time that group was coming through.
Yeah.
By the way, Mike, I was in from 83 to 87, and we were all men back then.
Thank you for your service.
Bro.
Thank
Listen,
you for
You
your
guys
service.
must have switched it around somehow.
no, I was part of. Listen, I was the last class. I was the last class at Tank Hill. I'll even tell a story real quick. It's about Tony Atlas. I broke my shin in basic training, and if you can't complete your stuff, you had to go back. I ran 3 miles on a broken shin.
Uphill.
There you go.
Uphill.
Yeah, both ways.
I don't remember if it was
Both ways.
uphill. All I can tell you is
rain.
all I know is I made sure I got into AIT on that leg.
Well, I'm going to say this right now to both of you gentlemen. Thank you very much for your service,
Thank
because if people like you guys that don't only keep our country safe but keep the world safe. I hear a lot of people say, well, America should not be the world policeman. Bull crap.
That's right.
Shit, we should.
Yeah. Who you want to do it?
That's
it's
right.
going to be done. It's a vacancy. Once you leave a void, somebody
that's
going to fill it.
Yeah.
Because America don't do it no more. It ain't going to mean it ain't going to be done.
Yep.
But getting back to what I'm saying, we have to start raising our kids to be respectable, to be hard workers. We have to create that America that built this country. When you look at every great empire, nobody destroyed Rome. Rome destroyed Rome.
Right.
It got soft. And once we get soft, we don't raise our kids to work and be responsible. They say, oh, they're taking our country from us. Bull crap. We giving it away. Yeah. If the immigrants come here to take a job, the job got to be available. If that, you can't move into an apartment until the people there move out.
Tony, I'll tell you, in
You understand, kid?
major corporations that I work with, I won't make names, can't keep
You got some
sales.
big ass arms.
Not as big as you, big guy. Not as big as you.
You freaking Jack.
So
If I was a
You're
woman,
going to be replaying this line for the next 20 years
man.
on Rewind Auto.
So Tony, people told me
ay,
major
ay.
companies they can't keep salespeople
hilarious.
at $120,000 a year because they ask them to shave their beard, no facial hair for these jobs,
right.
and
dare
they
you?
flat out quit.
I'm leaving.
They'd rather not be paid
Never.
and get another job so they can keep their beard.
Well, my mother
fucked
said, anything you don't want, don't take care of it. You won't have it long. So when a person can't use common sense, he'll eventually lose common sense. That denied all logic, all common sense, because we have to think. I can't quit I did in the past, but when I quit the WWE the first time, I thought I was just hurting the company, but I hurt my daughter, I hurt my wife, I hurt a lot of people, even business people, like people that did business with me at the grocery store, the clothing store, the gyms I used to go to. All it's a domino effect.
Well,
Americans, if you don't want people to sit in a chair, then you sit in that chair. If you don't want the immigrants to come here and how can they take a job that ain't
if
nobody
you won't
working?
take it, right.
Nobody
right.
working it.
You don't want
You're
to
right,
take the
sir.
job
It's
anyway. so-
vacant.
Right.
You fussing about a vacant job.
Right.
You can't get these kids to go out and work for $15 an hour.
Right.
You can't get them to, like he just said, work for $100 grand a year.
$100,000 a year.
Because
That's
what we
insane.
doing, they doing the same thing that used to go on years ago in the black neighborhood. It's the white man's fault. Now it's the government fault. And we becoming dependent on the government and on our parents. So then when we get on our own, we like them guys standing on a rooftop in New Orleans. I got to get my family some help. How did I do it? I never had to do this before. I'm 40 freaking years old and I never had to worry about how to feed my family at 40 years. For 40 years, I never had to think about this. Now it's facing me for the first time in my 40 years on this earth. What can I do? Well, it's the government fault. It's Bush's fault. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
As long as we got somebody to blame for our failure, we would never take responsibility. But you could never change what you do wrong until you admit that you're doing something wrong in the first place.
So let's go back now. You did mention your
Well, let's
first.
talk wrestling because we're going to get into
Well, you
politics.
mentioned-
The Pharaoh's a huge fan of yours,
I am
as
a
I am.
You're
huge
doing some
fan.
wrestling,
But
baby.
so let him get some wrestling questions, and I want to get your artwork in here too, because we
Okay.
totally got
Absolutely.
blown away. So
Okay.
Pharaoh, hit some.
Yeah, let's-
Y'all need
Let
more
me
than an
questions.
hour with Tony Atlas.
You ain't kidding, brother.
Let's have at it. Well, your first tour in the WWE. This is when I became familiar with you. When Mike became familiar
was
with you.
WWF then.
Well, of course. Was it
WWF.
WWW?
That's right, Worldwide Wrestling
Gotcha.
Federation.
What was the difference between senior and junior? Because when you first got there, you had a little senior time, maybe. And
Senior was a man.
the difference between the two of them.
Senior was a man.
Okay.
What I mean by that, if I got something to say to you, if I'm disappointed in something you did, Senior would come to you face to face, man to man, and tell you. Junior wouldn't do that if his life depended on it.
Wow.
You don't know if you're doing anything wrong. He won't tell you if you're doing anything wrong.
Yeah, you want to know, right? You want to be able to do corrective
He
action,
never,
right?
He never was able to do that.
And Senior would tell you if you're doing something
Right
wrong.
up front. Vince would wait till you go home. Junior would wait till you go home to fire you. Senior would come right up to you and say, look, I got to let you go.
Did you like Junior as a person?
Yeah, I like him, yeah.
You like him?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a bad guy. See, Junior figured out early that he can't be nice to the wrestlers. They take advantage of him.
Do you agree with him on that?
Well, yeah, because I was...
Vince took a really hard line with that,
Yeah, well,
too.
you had to because the boys, we create our own. You make your bed, you have to lie in it. So we created that. We created Vince. See, when Vince came, he wanted to be like his dad. But there's some stories about his dad that Junior knew about. Like when they hung Vince Senior out of the window when they had a building in New York. When Captain Lou Albano went in and flashed Vince's mother.
Wait a minute, go back. They hung Senior. I
his
don't know
ankle.
this story.
By
I've
his
never
ankle.
heard it.
Tell the story,
By,
please.
by his ankle, a bunch of guys.
By his ankle.
Yeah, that to try to scare them. And then me, not putting everything away about it. Me, I one day just decided I want to go to L.A. and get my face stepped on and not go to Philly. That's what me and SD were talking about at the Hall of Fame. They were going to put the belt on me and SD that night that we were going to beat Fuji and Saito.
Really
I
now?
decided I don't want to wrestle. I'm tired. I want to have a vacation. This girl told me she got some new tennis shoes.
You and SD were about
gonna be the first.
You believe this?
This is unbelievable.
SD would have been the
SD
first.
wanted to smack you senseless.
He forgave me. He forgave me.
Okay.
He talked about it in the Hall of
Oh
Fame.
my God.
And that's when Rocky took SD place. It was SD before Rocky. SD Specialty Delivery Show. And I took away SD first break.
Wow.
Can I get your thoughts on
Over a
SD?
pair of tennis shoes.
A pair of
Over tennis
A
shoes.
girl called me and said, I just bought these shoes. I can't wait to show them when you be home.
Right. And you're
And
like,
I had this real strong foot
You
fetish.
with toes, man. What's up with
No,
you?
no, I got a shoe fetish.
shoe fetish.
Not a foot fetish.
Okay,
There's a
shoe-
difference.
hold on, interesting. All right.
Skinsky.
So when you come back and SD now knows that you
He
finally
forgave
had
me.
right away he forgave you?
No, it took a while.
man.
It took a while, but later on, me and him, we started talking, and he knew that I was crazy. You know, I was all messed up. You know, messing with
let me
drugs
let
and
me
stuff.
ask you a quick question. They put the belts around you and Johnson,
Right.
which
Yeah.
in the day was huge.
Yeah.
I can remember that day like it was yesterday. Both of you guys. What was your problem with Rocky Johnson? Because the rumor has it is you guys just couldn't get along and they had to take
Well,
the
me and
straps from
Rocky
you.
talked later. That's what I thought at first. And I say some horrible things about Rocky that I take back now. But once me and Rocky was able to sit down and talk.
But what was the original beef? What was the problem?
Well, me and Rocky never had a chance to bond. Now think about it. We had the belt for almost a year and we teamed up 3 times.
Yeah.
Why? Why,
That's
by
what
the way?
SD used to say all the time. He said, y'all the only guys that put the belt on and they never promoted it.
Why do you think that was?
Senior put the belt on us.
Oh, Senior made that
Okay.
decision.
Junior took it off.
So Junior just didn't like it and didn't use
Well,
it.
Junior was not in charge till 85. Senior died in
Gotcha.
85.
Gotcha.
We won the belt in 82.
Gotcha. Understood.
Right?
Wow.
Yep.
So it
Senior-
sounds to me
it
like
was
Junior just
Senior-
didn't like it, and
It wasn't
Let it
his.
sit.
Well, it wasn't his creation. That's why when you go in, when I went back, Vince Jr. never booked Tony Atlas. We brought back the first time. The first time I worked for Vince Jr. Now, he tried to make me into what they call a jobber.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, beating up.
That's right.
Beating up the losing
Yeah, as
every
you
night.
You know, I
back.
never realized
It's
it in
true.
that form. Like,
The
when
first time
Senior
I
was
worked with-
handling you, you were
Well,
fighting terror at
look,
Shea
you
Stadium.
and Putski,
you know?
with Senior,
That's
you and
right.
Putski were the cleanup guys, right? So
That's
the,
right.
the bad guys would come through, lose the Backlund or
That's
whoever the
right.
champion was, lose the Morales,
That's
and then
right.
it was either you, Putski, cleaned them
That's
up
right.
and finished
That's
them
right.
off.
Yeah.
And then send them all on
Right.
their way.
And then,
But-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but see, what he didn't forget, I was collegiate champion in Virginia. I was strong as a freaking ox.
Three-time Mr.
So I remember
USA.
guys used to go to Junior and say, can Tony win tonight? Because I would beat you so bad.
Yeah.
And then I lose. If you get a chance, watch a match with me and Randy Savage and another match with me and Paul Ondorf. I was able to do what I want with you. That's why they took me out of, you know, I'm the only wrestler that was paid not to come to WrestleMania.
What?
Wow.
WrestleMania 1, I was
Oh, yeah.
I was walking out of the Ramada Inn on 49th and 8th Street in Manhattan. I was getting ready to get in the car. Arnold Skolin come running up to me with a suitcase. Said, Tony, don't go to the show. That's WrestleMania 1. He said, they want to use you for the next one. Vince got bigger plans for you. And he said, here's $2,000. Take the night off. He said, just sign the check.
Did this bother you? Were you just like, yeah, sure, I'll take the money?
No, I put myself in that position.
Okay.
You have to put yourself in the position.
Okay.
Like if I jump up on the table and spread my leg and somebody rams something up in me, I put myself in that position.
I never thought of it that way.
Okay, so
All right.
it take 2 to tango.
Holy poop,
okay,
shoot,
I
Batman.
can't put all the blame on someone else, because if I didn't put myself in that position. So this is what happened with me and Junior. This is honest God truth. And they told me to stay home. Well, I found out I was supposed to wrestle Bundy that night. SD took my place. Why is SD Jones?
Oh, my God.
Why
loving
is
this.
SD Jones
Right.
in WrestleMania 1, the biggest event, big event, and
Right.
Tony Atlas is not on
not.
it? Why is that?
I don't know.
Because he know.
Oy.
I got a picture here of me press slamming King Kong Bundy. So what would I have done in WrestleMania 1?
Oh,
You certainly
boy,
wouldn't have
boy.
lost in 13 seconds. That's
No.
for sure. That's
Were you
why.
supposed-
That's
why.
Were you
That's right.
They
That's
wouldn't
right.
have even thought of asking you.
No, but they thought about it because
Oh,
I was
no.
on my way to the gardens
Oy.
when they did. I was getting ready to get in the cab when they stopped me and told me not to go. Then I found out that SD took my place that night.
Wow.
See, and then Vince had me to lose to everybody except for the referee. And then he got rid of me.
Mr. USA Tony Atlas defeats Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, at the Garden.
Defeats Adonis, Ventura,
Patera.
Patera.
Yeah.
And then they drop. It just makes no. Let me ask you
what
this:
is that?
You and the Soul Man, you end up dropping the belts to Adonis and Murdoch. Can you share any thoughts on Adonis? A lot of guys have come through and they say he wasn't a very good guy.
Yeah, we hear some
Adonis
stuff.
was the most disrespectful,
Oh, here we go.
most degenerate
Get out.
individual I ever met in my life.
In your life.
Really now?
Why?
What did he? What was he just rude to
He
you? Was all
was
hell or
rude, obnoxious,
racist?
hell of a
Is he racist? Or just an equal opportunity asshole?
You got that right.
Okay.
Yeah. He wasn't so much.
Fair enough.
So much race because all of us, whether we want to realize or not, we got a little bit of racism in us.
Sure.
It was part of our upbringing and stuff. And most time, people that is racist they have to find somebody, a whooping post, to whoop on for their own failure in life.
Yep.
You know, if you concentrating on what you doing, then you don't have to worry about what someone else is doing. So I hate saying that this person is racist and that person is racist because I can't get inside a person's head and know how they really feel or what caused this person to be the way it is. But I tell you one thing, when us Americans always call each other racist, Obama would have never been president in England.
Sure.
He would have never been president anywhere else but America.
That's
America is the only country that if a person play his cards right,
he's got a shot.
you got a shot.
Yeah,
I was
agree.
raised up during segregation. You know, where blacks and white was separated and stuff. And I made it to be a Hall of Famer.
That's right.
There's nothing stopping any American from being what they want if they really to put their nose to the grindstone and keep your man on the prize. Keep your eyes on the prize. Don't get distracted by racism and sexism and thisism and thatism. No, you focus on what you want in life and you go what you want in life. And I guarantee you, ain't nothing going to that stop you that gumming. And if heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I don't want
So
to go.
you get your Hall of Fame nod. Do you sit with Vince and say, "Hey, what was your problem with me in the past?"
I know what my problem was. He couldn't trust me. He told me.
Do you agree with him?
Well, yes, I do.
That must have been an interesting
But
conversation.
see, right now, if all the wrestlers start acting up, who do you think Vince would fire?
If they started acting up right
If
now.
all the wrestlers start acting
current
up,
roster?
he started losing control of the wrestlers.
The current roster.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
You're
the
going to
man,
say
but I
Triple
was-
H? I
No,
don't.
he can't because he's in
Yeah,
family.
exactly.
I assumed that he would
But you pretty right. Here's the reason why he got rid of me.
cut somebody at the top.
Because cut
see
someone
that.
at the bottom don't mean nothing.
Right, that's right.
Vince
Send a
came to
message.
me. This is what Vince told me. This is Vince's word.
Yeah.
He probably don't remember. He don't remember nothing about me. I remember everything about him.
Oh, of course.
He said, "Tony, I can't use you on bottom because you too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't use you on top because I can't trust you."
Aye.
I was unreliable. See, when I missed that first show, I missed some shows, and I was the main event. So he couldn't use me on bottom because I was too good. Couldn't use me on top because he couldn't trust me. I lost his trust. You know, you could be the greatest wrestler that walked the face of earth, but if or the greatest radio announcer on earth,
Which
but if
I
I
am.
can't depend on you,
which we
if you
are.
can't depend on, if you can't depend on him coming to work in the morning, what good is he to you?
yeah,
Fortunately,
Well,
he's
that's what me
dependable.
with Vince. Vince didn't know if I was going to come there or not. So he said, "I have to make an example out of you.
Wow.
I'm his example." That's why he never used me, because if he used me in any kind of way to build in the predicament, in the position I was before, then other wrestlers are going to feel that
They
they
can get
could
away
do
with
it
it. Yeah,
and
they could do it.
come back and get their spot back.
Right.
Johnny Ross told me, said, if you do it, you keep your nose clean here, Tony, and do what you're told. These people will make you have so much money, they need wheelbarrows to carry it all. He said, but if you screw them just one time, they will never trust you again.
Hence why
I lost Vince's trust.
we say that Vince never wants to make a superstar anymore because he wants to keep control of his company.
Than his company.
So
Every superstar he made screwed him.
Yeah.
You look at what Bret Hart did. Made a man $1 million. He spit in the man's face and signed a contract with another company and want to leave as freaking champion.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah.
You know, Hogan, I love him
way.
to death. But he went behind Vince back and went. Bobby the Brain Heenan, God rest his soul. All them guys, they all screwed Vince first.
Listen,
Tony Atlas screwed Vince first.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you.
But Vince said it this way. I said, Vince, I didn't mean to screw you. He said, Tony Atlas did not screw Vince, my man. Tony Atlas screwed Tony Atlas.
That's Vince for
He
you.
loves that line. Look, I gotta ask you. Last.
What do you say? I'm still doing good. You doing the shits.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Last night I was, in my marking out moment, I was watching on YouTube one of my favorite memories of you from the Garden, pressing Hulk Hogan over your head, getting the pinfall on him. It's been staying in my head basically since I watched it last night. I got to ask you, did you know
I'm
that
married.
Hogan...
I'm sorry. I'm already married.
Oh, my Lord. He went there. This is terrible.
You got nice hair.
I like...
He's got a nice ass, too.
You do?
What?
Oh, yeah.
And on that note...
Once you go black, you never go back.
That's right.
My Lord. Oh, dear God. Little did I realize when I was 12 I'd have this conversation with the great Tony Atlas. Oh, dear God. I wanted to ask you, did you know right away that Hulk Hogan had the goods? The first time you saw Hulk Hogan, did you realize what this guy was going to be in this business?
The first time I met Hulk Hogan was in Atlanta, Georgia for Georgia Championship Wrestling.
God, I love that show.
Ole Anderson was the booker. Tommy Wildfire Rich went to Ole Anderson and said, you should do something with the big guy. Said he'd be great to work with Tony Atlas because he said we don't have many guys as big as Tony. And back in the old days, the heel was always bigger than the baby face. So they had a big heel that the people loved. If you watch that match real closely,
I did last night.
you had to turn the volume up as loud as you could turn it up. Half of the crowd was cheering for Hogan.
Yeah.
You notice that? It was 50-50. Then.
Yeah, but you picked him up and the place went ballistic.
Yes, but it was still, every time you wrestle Hogan, that was the thing about when he was a heel. Half of the crowd cheered him, the other half booed him.
What was he better at, in your opinion, heel or face? Because he did both magnificently.
He's a face. He's not a heel.
Really? The whole
not
Hollywood Hogan thing?
No,
Did you raise an eyebrow and go, wow, he reinvented
No, the reason
himself?
he did that because he couldn't use Huck because it's copyrighted by a Marvel's comic, and he couldn't use Huck Hogan because it's copyrighted by the WWE. But he could use Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, because it was not copyrighted.
Yeah.
He did that in order to work their copyright. But I think it hurt him more than it helped him because Hogan was the all-American boy. And that's why he works. Vince, you see what made Hogan big? Vince seen something that everybody else didn't see. He was the first guy to look at what the world was interested in. Instead of trying to create his own scenario, he followed the river. What happened was the Total Mania held American hostages.
Sure.
Vince got the idea, put the belt on the Sheik. Well, they had to get it off of Backlund first, which Backlund didn't want to do. So the Sheik had to take the belt off of Backlund because Backlund wasn't going to drop the belt to a guy that
wouldn't do
was
it for Hogan.
was just as tough as him. That's old school mentality.
Right, gotcha.
If you can't beat me in real life, I'm not going to let you do it.
Yeah, I think
in real life.
he wanted to drop it to Mass Superstar or Morocco, right?
But
not the Sheik.
Yeah. But what happened? No, not Hogan.
Not Hogan.
Not Hogan.
He was
didn't want
okay
to put
with
it on
Sheik.
Hogan because Hogan was
Gotcha.
not a legitimate
I got
wrestler.
you.
Yeah,
right.
Hogan he wasn't
Right, he would have
impressed
put it
with.
on a Mass Superstar, anybody but
Someone
Hogan.
with a background he could respect.
Right, but that's
Yeah.
all the old timers was like that.
Yeah.
They
So being a
always
bass
like
player
that.
wasn't good enough. He wasn't gonna put
Yeah,
Hogan
yeah,
over.
it
You're
wasn't
just a
it
bass
was
player
like
from
a-
I want to
California.
get the pictures because we got 10 minutes, but real
Yeah,
quick, what's your
sure.
biggest payday as a professional wrestler?
Ooh, nice. Drum roll, please.
I can't remember.
Get out.
One match?
Anything?
Oh, for one match.
One match,
Yeah,
not your
one-
career.
how about one match?
Not your year, just one match.
Where you were like, wow, that rules. Look at the size of this check.
How'd you do with Flair at the Atlanta Omni that time?
Well, that was part of my problem. I would wrestle Harley Race or Ric Flair. They would get, let's say, $1,500, $2,000 for the match. I get $500.
Okay.
That was my
Same
problem.
as it ever was,
When I
Mike.
started
We've heard this
speaking up-
before.
Yeah,
We've
when I
heard this
started speaking
before.
up for money, that's when everything went bad for me.
Okay.
As long as I laid, another guy that had a problem with that too was a guy called Thunderbolt Patterson. But I never got paid a big payday.
Okay.
And then when I said something about it, and I started getting angry about it, but I handled it wrong, you know. But no, they never paid me what they paid everybody else.
What was it like working for Vern? You were
My
there
biggest
very...
my biggest year in pro wrestling was $100,000 a year.
Okay.
It's good salary back then.
Yeah,
right?
but he's worth more than that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
the guy,
way
but-
more than that.
Yeah, but Johnny Ross was doing jobs and making more.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear this.
I didn't know that.
Who was did you have an agent, for God's sakes? I mean...
No, because in the old school, they didn't want you to connect to anything. They want to keep you in this little bubble, and they didn't want you having no contact in the outside world because see that's why Vince got mad at Hogan. Do you know that every commercial Hogan did back then, you know Hogan got it for himself? Vince didn't do that.
Wow.
I was in a room one day, how I found out, and the show got canceled because of the storm or something. It was Super Bowl day, and Vince was pissed off because he tried to buy an ad on the Super Bowl. There was no time. And we were sitting there in the room, having a few beers, eating the cold cuts and stuff, and guess who popped up on TV in a Right Guard commercial painting?
Hulk Hogan.
And Vince had no idea.
Oh,
Wow.
boy.
Nice.
That's how he got into the movie. They sent a thing to the office. They wanted a wrestler over 6 feet tall, over 300 pounds. Monsoon didn't want to do it. Andre didn't want to do it. John Studd didn't want to do it. Hogan was the only one who showed up for it. He was a jobber then. Hogan showed up, and that's how Hogan got the part. And then Vince got rid of him. And I remember Vince Sr. asked
Wasn't
me
it Senior? I thought Senior got rid of him.
yeah, they all got. He came in the dressing room one day and said, "Tony, what do you want to do with the big dummy?" That's why he wrote his own check coming back.
Yeah.
The
He
big
said,
dummy?
"I want the belt the first night, and if I don't get it the first night, I'm getting right back on the plane." See, Vince didn't build Hogan. Vern Gagne gave Hogan his
Absolutely.
first break.
Right.
Yep.
And then the bad thing about us wrestlers, Junkyard Dog got his first break from Cowboy Bill Watts. He worked for Vince. Then him and Vince went and put Bill Watts out of business. Hogan got his break from Vern Gagne. Then Hogan teamed up with Vince to put Vern Gagne out of business. Tony Atlas got his first break in Georgia Championship Wrestling in Mid-Atlantic. I teamed up with Vince to put the Crockett's and Barnett out of business. You understand what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah. I'm connecting the dots.
There was
Yep.
there's never been any loyalty. If you watch that thing on Viceland TV about Bruiser Brody, Brody had one friend that night.
You.
That was it.
Yep.
Now he traveled with these guys. He helped these guys.
Real quick, what was your thoughts when Cologne got into the Hall of Fame? Because did that disturb you?
No, because they had put worse.
Worse than Cologne?
Oh yeah, child molesters, everything else.
Gotcha.
Come on.
Oh boy. Oh
So
boy.
Tony,
I mean, I could go on and on and on.
We
Gotcha.
were lucky enough to find out you do artwork, and
Yes.
we want you to present your artwork
Yes,
here,
please.
Oh.
by
which
all
is
means.
incredible.
All right. Now, at one time in old Tony Atlas' life, when he had nothing to do in the daytime, he sat down and lit up one and drank the whole lot until I didn't know where the hell I was at.
You lit
Then
up
I
one.
met this beautiful woman by the name of Monica. She was from Germany. She said, "You got to find somebody else to do with your time, boy, other than to sit around getting stoned, not know what the dadgum name is." So I started creating art. This here, if y'all ever visit the beach shop in Florida, you will see the original drawing at the beach shop. I did this drawing for my good friend Hulk Hogan. This is Andre the
wow.
Giant, another
Look at that.
drawing I did
Love
when he
it.
did the
That's
Princess Bride. There was other ways to draw Andre, but when I saw him in that suit, no disrespect to him, it looked like he belonged there.
And
I
what's
mean,
the-
it
what's the
fit
line,
him.
Mike?
You could
What's the
not
line from the movie?
find. You could not find a more
Anybody got a
perfect
peanut?
person to play that character. I mean, he was,
Anybody got a peanut?
Yeah, you gotta do the
Yeah.
line.
yeah. I mean, he was amazing. And this is my ex. Believe it or not, this is my
nice.
ex training partner.
Nice.
Lou Ferrigno. We
Nice.
trained together from 1980 to 1981 in Gold Gym in Santa Monica, California. We are very, very good friends.
Did the
Love
Olympia
that guy.
screw Ferrigno out of that? Did Schwarzenegger just have too much clout?
No, they base it on just like to do with wrestling. You can have the best body in the world, but if you can't put asses in the seat.
There you go.
Schwarzenegger was more marketable.
Yeah.
Like Sergio Oliva and Lou had a better physique, but they wasn't as marketable.
Yeah, Arnold.
Well, just like the movie, when Lou went in the movie, his career didn't take off.
Arnold
the way
has
you got to have
it
it.
factor.
He,
Arnold's
well,
got
he
it
got
factor.
charisma.
I know.
He don't have charisma.
Tony Atlas have the it factor?
Yeah.
Tony Atlas is a goof. Now this is Spock,
Oh,
who
That's
is
the
one-
greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's one of the greatest actors that.
Can I have that? I want. I want.
On air, can I have it?
Can I have that?
Yeah, but
so cool.
Fran, if y'all see him with this picture, remember we
I'm
swapped
getting buried.
spit for it.
Oh yeah, they made out for it.
What?
They made out.
Swap
This is
spit
Eric. You
for it,
brought him
baby.
here.
Look out.
Oh my
With
God.
this right
Dude, did
here,
you ever think you'd be swapping spit
Swapping
with
spit
Tony
with
Atlas?
my childhood? Yeah, no.
And I'm gonna put
No.
a big chew of red man in. I'm gonna chew my red man while we do it, so you get
That
a
is-
nice taste.
we
Love
go.
that picture.
Now
man.
this is
Nice.
Rocky Johnson
Nice.
and Tony Atlas, and they say that we were the first African American tag team champion.
Nice.
Okay, here it comes.
Wrong.
Here it comes.
Rocky Canadian.
You're Jewish. What happened?
Rocky Canadian.
Canadian.
He's Canadian.
Okay. What? Yeah.
So this is the first
We?
Africa,
Confused.
Africa,
Canadian.
Canadian
American,
connection.
and Canadian.
The African
champion.
Canadian
American
connection.
Canadian world
Nice.
champ.
Right, because
Nice.
Rocky is the
Confused.
Rocky from Nova Scotia. He's Canadian. He's not American.
That's why you didn't like him.
This is
That-
this is
what it was.
a
There you
drawing
go.
a drawing of me in my
yeah.
heyday.
Oh, yeah.
Vintage.
Love it.
And I did this for John Cena's father.
Can Mike
he wanted
have that?
something.
That's his
y'all
boy.
can have them all.
gonna
He
make a
asked me
mess
to
all
draw a
over
picture
that.
of his son,
Love
so,
it.
so I did his son.
Love it.
And this, if y'all looked
There
at
we go.
Viceland TV, Bruiser Brody, one of the most impressive men.
That's
and
great.
I tell y'all something. They not only took this man from his family and everything, but can you imagine if he had lived to see Madison Square Garden, Bruiser Brody, and Hulk Hogan? What a frickin' the world would have loved to saw this man fight Hulk Hogan.
You think Hogan would have agreed to fight him? Just
He
behind
would
the
have,
scenes.
he
like,
would have no choice because when the numbers come in, brother.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
When Vince see the
Oh,
numbers,
yeah.
it's gotta happen, brother. The number, Vince would have put enough money on the table to convince Hogan to go in with
That would have
yeah.
been a legendary program.
money talk, bull
Legendary.
crap
That-
walk.
Thank you, sir.
And this also is from another
Love it.
late friend of mine.
we
Now
go.
in this picture, everybody said this is the Ultimate Warrior, but this picture was taken when he was in Dallas, Texas. He was the Dingo
Warrior.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Gotcha.
later became the Ultimate Warrior. And what I did, I put my ring, which is the ring they used to give the wrestler, and this is the new ring that WWE Hall of Famers are getting now. But,
Sweet.
Yeah.
And by the way, we'll make the announcement that these pictures will be sold on both the Village Connection website and the Monty and the Pharaoh website, www.montyandthepharaoh.com. Eric Sims, come on in.
Which way do you want me to get on camera?
Come this way.
like
you want him
usual.
there?
Where do you want me to sit?
Yeah, right over here.
Right
Come
on
around
my
this way.
couch.
Alrighty then.
And clip on that, clip right over there.
Right next to Mr. Atlas, yeah?
And clip on that microphone when you sit to your left.
So, Tony, real quick, while Eric's getting set up, you did a short tour in the WCCW. Did you know the Von Erich boys had that kind of problem?
I knew them very well. I knew all of them. I knew everyone. I first met the Von Erich boys when they was kids. I used to work for their father, Fritz Von Erich, and so what ended up happening, I think what happened in the Von Erich family is that they had they started off as kids. They had a very, very large footprint to follow in.
Oh yeah.
Fritz Von Erich was a big star for many, many years. And the boys was pushed to the maximum to be as big as as their father was. And there's a lot, and they never got a chance, in my opinion, to be kids. I mean, they,
Expectations from day one.
It was from day one.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it was extreme pressure on. But you couldn't find nicer people.
Yeah.
You couldn't find greater people. I mean, Kevin Von Erck, me and him, we talked the other day. He's a wonderful guy. Curry, wonderful guy. David was beautiful people.
Was David the most talented of the bunch?
No, they all had an equal thing. It's very hard to look at any wrestler and say this one is more talented, that more talented. In their own way, each person had their own thing. It's just like with me and SD, I had things that I did well, and there things that SD did well that I didn't do well, and vice versa. Like if you look at Rey Mysterio, the things he do great, and then there's things Hulk Hogan do great.
Sure.
You see, Hulk Hogan had the ability to put asses in the seat like no other.
Real quick, who was Tony Atlas's favorite opponent ever, if I can ask?
Harley Race.
Nice.
Wow.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Sims, you are mic'd up, ready to go. What do you got planned for Tony Atlas and Tatanka?
All right, so tonight, because my memory's going bad, we're
And you probably haven't slept in 3 years, but that's okay.
since 1987. All right, anyway, tonight, ECPW, that's East Coast Professional Wrestling. We're at the Burke Catholic High School, 80 Fletcher Street. That's in Goshen, New York, just outside of Middletown, New York, with Tony Atlas, Tatanka, Mount of the South, Jimmy Hart. It's gonna be a great show.
Quite the card.
Tony's gonna be
Nice.
coming around doing Reading baseball in July, SWF in July, and catch out with Tony with ESS. Throughout the year, he's gonna get a lot of bookings with me, and no BS with ESS. Just for all the upcoming stuff, it's www.esspromotions.com, and that's for all the updates on the happenings in the world of ESS and all its talents.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Did
Tony.
y'all go to college?
I did.
Why do birds fly south in the wintertime?
Because they're cold.
You don't learn nothing in college. It's too far to walk.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
You ever have sex with a baboon?
I haven't had sex in about 20 years.
Oh. So you don't monkey around?
I don't monkey around. Tony, you got anything else to plug?
Yeah. You ever had sex with a parakeet?
Yes, I have.
Oh, you had a pecking good time, baby.
That's pretty good.
No wonder it's the thing that you throw against the wall sticks. You're gonna frame it now.
Too funny.
Rectum? Damn.
All right, I want to thank both Eric from ESS and the great Hall of Famer, Mr. Tony Atlas. Thank you, Tony, for spending time on our show.
Thank you.
Fantastic interview. Once again, this is Monty DeFaro, Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, only seen here at Rockstar Studios. Stay tuned. In about 5 minutes, Tatanka will be in studio, so it's going to be great. Thank you again, Mr. Atlas.
Thank you, Tony.
I'd like to come back.
I would love to have you.